What if you had instant analytics on your PDP images and a faster way to create content that performs better? That's what we're diving into in today's episode, how top brands and retailers are using analytics and automation to stay ahead across retail media and the digital shelf. It's Rapid helps teams scale smarter. They analyze image performance, they help you create optimized assets for retail media networks and the digital shelf, and they integrate directly with PIM and DAM systems for seamless execution. Brands like Pepsi, Mondelez, and Instacart use It's Rapid to go beyond basic tools to uncover gaps in PDP and retail media performance by analyzing the images themselves, not just the count. Streamline banner creation across hundreds of formats for Amazon Ads, Walmart Connect, and other retail and social platforms, and launch high-performing content more than 80% faster across e-commerce and marketing channels. If you're buried in manual work or struggling to keep up, this episode and It's Rapid will show you a better way. Visit itsrapid.ai to learn more.
Welcome to Beyond the Shelf with Dave Feinlieb. This show is an open exploration of the people and process behind e-commerce. Through conversations with innovators in the space, we learn the stories of these leaders and their strategies for e-commerce success. We publish new episodes every Tuesday morning, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Dave Feinlieb.
Welcome back. This week on Beyond the Shelf, we're diving into a sector that plays a critical yet often overlooked role in everyday life, waste handling and environmental solutions. And behind the scenes of this essential industry, there's a digital transformation underway. Our guest is Kevin Creese, Director of Ecommerce at Wastequip, North America's leading manufacturer of waste handling equipment. Hey, Kevin, how's it going?
Going great. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, David.
All right. I'm glad to have you here. We've been talking a while. I'm going to just give folks an intro to Wastequip, which is dumpsters, compactors, carts, containers, tarping systems, trucks. So products that help virtually everyone keep their businesses running efficiently and sustainably. And Kevin is helping reimagine how these heavy-duty B2B products are discovered, bought, and supported online, from streamlining digital customer journeys to scaling across brands and product lines. He's proving that even the most industrial of categories can benefit from smart, strategic e-commerce. We're going to talk about how Kevin's bridging the gap between digital tools and industrial operations, and what B2B can learn from consumer playbooks along the way. Well, Kevin, I already said hello, but it's great to be talking with you. I feel like I've known you forever. Would you take us back? How'd you get into the space?
Sure. I've been doing e-commerce for Wastequip for closing on 5 years now. I was asked to kind of take this over and help to just kind of get our tarping parts online and started there. Since then we partnered with Ecommerce and Salsify and American Eagle.com to kind of get the right team involved with getting us online and then starting our go-to-market process for how it is we're going to sell parts. And so we've taken on a few different projects. I think, we're new to the space. So as far as just the way you sell parts online for the waste industry. And so our first attempt was with mountaintarp.com. And we learned a lot through that process on just how ready your data has to be, how involved the entire segment of business has to be. And then we worked on building wastebuilt.com, and Wastebuilt is our nation's leading parts website for anybody in the refuse business. So it's come along very well. Things are going great. It's just been an opportunity to kind of be in front, and I've got a company that believes in my abilities, and they've invested in me and trying to just bring them to market. And things are going the right way, David. I'm glad to say.
I love it. I have so many questions I want to ask you. First off, how did you get into this area broadly, marketing and websites and, the consumer and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I've got a knack for data. So I've data and the way it's structured, collecting it, organizing it, figuring out how to move it from here to there, how to support it, how to figure out how operations works within the data. And so a lot of my forte, I've got 20 years worth of IT experience that I brought before I came into e-commerce. And so that realm helped me to familiarize myself with operational data requirements. Beyond that, the requirements from our finance team to kind of do things once orders have been placed and parts have been fulfilled. And then from there, just organizing all the data needed to actually properly market the parts. And so, figuring out solutions to problems has always kind of been my forte. When I was approached with how do we actually take these parts and sell them to our customers in a more efficient manner, I embraced it. And I've been trying to take it on and tackle it for this 5-year period now. And I still have a lot to do, a lot to do.
I love it. I love it. I want to explore the data more. And will you tell us kind of in this space, when we talk to, let's say, CPGs and so on, they're thinking about the .com, Amazon and Walmart, Target, maybe Kroger if they're in grocery. And one of the things you mentioned right off the bat was a site, a site that you own and you run it and then you've got your products listed on it. How does that work? And what's the customer interaction?
Yeah. So customers have a hard time finding parts for waste equipment, just in general. I mean, before we kind of developed an online catalog, they were taking books that were 5 inches thick and thumbing through them to find the replacement parts. I mean, a very archaic methodology, and so, about 5 years ago, I was approached with an idea of how is it that we can actually take a finished good and start working it backwards down to the parts that people are looking to replace. And so we started adopting the structure at that point where we're going to start from all the parts and build our way up, right? And so we have been working on trying to collect all the parts, figuring out, what the taxonomy should be behind their overall category structure, and try to get them organized in a way that we can start building upon them. And we've started to realize the fruits of our effort within the last couple of years. We're seeing that we can build sub-assemblies, and within those sub-assemblies, we can fold those up into other assemblies and then into finished goods. And so what we've ended up doing inadvertently, David, is creating a way to shop for parts without knowing what the part numbers are.
Yeah.
By visually almost, and it's through that type of an effort that our customers can now find what they're looking for, even if they don't know exactly what this widget is that they have in their hand.
It's amazing. Okay, so this is great. So you've got all these parts. They come to your site. They know what to order, and you've got a way to relate all the parts together. Where was that data before? Was it in spreadsheets, or it was up in space, or where?
Yeah.
How'd you get the data?
Yeah, no, it doesn't exist. What we've had to do was invest in establishing a baseline, invest in a foundation that we can kind of build off of. We got boots on the ground to help us to start grabbing images of parts. We've talked with our sales reps about which parts should we focus on. We've looked at our sales data to try to identify, from the parts that sell, which one should we start trying to rip apart. We've collected the bill of materials from them, and we started taking all of those and then importing them into our catalogs, identifying which ones are wearable parts, or essentially can break down. And then beyond that, I've hired a design engineer that helps me to actually create wireframe drawings of parts that people can interact with. And so it's been an investment on Wastequip's behalf.
Yeah.
We've had to step back and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. We want to play in this space. We want to help our customers make informed purchasing decisions. How are we going to do that? And we're going to do that by investing in our infrastructure, right? And so, it's taken time to do that, and we still have a long way to go. I mean, we've got a lot of images for our parts, but I still have, at least a third of them out there that I need to collect more images, more data for. And it's just going to continue to grow and continue to compound itself.
And what are we talking about here? 10, 20 products that you got to work with, maybe 30?
Yeah. No, I think last time I checked, we were at 60,000 SKUs that we have on our website.
60,000 SKUs.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I find it's out. Every time I look at the site, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's wrong. Oh, wait a minute, that's wrong. Or that could be done better. Are we doing that the right way?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these questions that continue to kind of surround themselves about how we're trying to go to market. And I think that it's just been a continuous learning environment. I think that's probably how I continue to stay motivated, is that I'm always challenging myself to find a better way. Are we reaching the right customers? Is there a segment of our business where it looks like we're failing that we can do better at?
Yeah.
And then how do we solve for that?
Yeah.
And so we've got the right tools to help us respond to our customers' needs. And that's a big part, is the tool stack.
The tool stack, and you've got, you mentioned our good friends at Salsify that we do a lot of work with. You mentioned some other partners. What's working well for you there? And how did you decide on a solution for where to put all this data once you had it?
Yeah, Ecommerce is our B2B platform, and they provide us a wonderful place where we can actually customize what we're trying to do to fit our customers' needs. Those are a little bit unique for the waste industry versus what you see in CPG, where they've got a lot of structure, a lot of commonality in how they go to market with their parts. Our average order value is higher, much higher than what you see within the CPG space. So I've got to take the time to make sure that I've got these parts developed correctly. I've got all the data behind them. Tools like Salsify help me to figure that out. Right, to where I can come back and structure my data in a way that says, these parts require this information. I've got cylinders. Cylinders require all these different attributes that you're not going to see for a motor, right, or for electrical equipment, or for cables or hoses, or the gambit is out there. And so the tools within Salsify help you to stay organized and figure out exactly what type of attributes you need to collect as you're adding new parts to them. Once it's structured, then it's easier for you to support. Then you kick off workflows, which are also done through Salsify, that go to the right people. And so when you look at it from an outside perspective, it's just a mountain of data, 60,000 SKUs. But I've never approached it that way. I've approached it as I've got this segment, this piece of the elephant that I'm going to eat.
So you break it down into these segments, and that makes it approachable, I guess.
Exactly. Smaller pieces to where you can actually kind of consume them and get the right questions in front of the right people.
Now, once you do that, you got these 60,000 products. How do you go about getting the data and the imagery? You mentioned you do some wireframes firsthand, but 60,000, a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah. We've had to get creative with that. We've tried a couple different approaches. Like I'll be honest, not all of them have worked. When you've had people scratch that, we'll rework that. We've had people in our distribution facilities that are pulling parts off of shelves and taking images of them. Right. And that worked for a while. Then we start getting into harder parts, or parts that are only fulfilled in certain segments of business. And in those instances, we've had to be creative and come back to our team and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to establish an image incentive program to where if you help us to collect images, I'm going to pay you an additional dollar amount. Right. And so we start to get a little bit more creative in how it is that we try to work with our employees to kind of collect these images that are hard to see. And in the end, what you really have to kind of focus on is it does take a change in your business processes. I've had to work very closely with our operations team and say, how do I get this data? You were receiving these parts. Can I become part of that? We're shipping parts. I don't have product dimensions. Can we start collecting that information in a certain way? Can I get a data collection point put in place there to where you can start helping me to get the information we need so that we can take this to the next level? Because this is a starting point, and I start out very, very bare bones. Now the idea is to continue to take that and build on it. Now is make it give what are the customers asking questions about today? Okay, let's find the answers to those, get those posted, get them in tools that publish every day, and then move on to the next question and keep building and growing on it.
So it's kind of an iterative process to building up all the assets that you need for this very large catalog.
Yes, iterative and not irritative.
This episode of Beyond the Shelf is brought to you by It's Rapid. It's Rapid is the platform Pepsi, Mondelez, Instacart, and hundreds of other leading brands and retailers use to build personalized content at scale. Whether that's images, videos, or product descriptions for their product detail pages, shoppable videos or banners for their digital ad campaigns, or sell sheets for sales enablement, brands that use It's Rapid are able to produce high-quality, on-brand content on average more than 80% faster than category competitors. To find out more, please visit itsrapid.ai.
Talk to us about how you get in front of the customers. We've been chatting about catalogs and sell sheets and things like that. Who are the customers, first of all, and then how do you kind of speak to them and engage with them?
Yeah, we deal with every aspect of the waste industry. So from municipalities, dealing with cities, dealing with government-ran agencies, to retail stores, to national dealers, to large contracts with national haulers. So we're all over the gambit. We deal with small mom and pop stores that are just collecting trash for a local residential neighborhood. I deal with the people that own their homes that need a new trash can for wheeling their recyclables out. So we really reach out to anybody that makes trash. So it's everywhere. So the way we try to do that, we use catalogs. We've tried to build some of the catalogs that we've had within Salsify. Those, they're okay, but we that's how we introduced ourselves to you.
Yeah.
Is, It's Rapid has got some wonderful solutions out there that we've looked at, and that looks like they're going to be the right solution for us. And so, being able to have the ability to take our data and segment it out to who that market is something I can do with Salsify and then push it to other platforms easily to where it can be consumed however I want to, whether that be through an e-catalog or through a printed sign or whatever that may be. It's already in a tool that's able to export it the way that I need it to, in any kind of format I need it to. So now it just needs to be consumed with whatever tools are out there, and whether it's Rapid or any mom and pop store that wants to just upload some information or buy our catalogs, have direct links to them within, right from their home computer. So
I love it. I'm sold. I'm ready to buy. I'm thinking about buying. And now let's say tell us kind of how this works. You've got distributors, you've got events, you've got consumers like myself. This is very broad in a way in terms of folks you've got to reach. Are there different kinds of info you're giving to these different audiences?
Yeah, we have different marketing material that we may use given whoever it is we're trying to reach out to. We will come up with different marketing copy for different shows. And we've tried to be smart about what type of material we print out and put in front of our customers. And so, we can store that data and relate it to particular market segments, whether it's like a particular, if I'm trying to work on cylinders or containers or dumpsters, and I'm at a convention getting ready for that, then we have the ability to kind of to focus our marketing efforts towards that. Right. We will utilize targeted ads, targeted campaigns, those types of things. And we manage a lot of that through what we're doing with our paid ad search and things of that nature. But we also support that with a lot of the work we've done through our organic search traffic, right? And so a lot of that is captured by the workflows that we manage with external companies and creating content and then getting that content loaded to our platforms and getting them ready to go.
Makes total sense. Tell us, if you would, spend a minute on data hierarchies. You've got a pretty extensive hierarchy of how the parts are all related and relate to each other. How does that work in this structure that you've put together?
Yeah, it didn't really fully exist when we started, and so I had the luxury of being able to kind of say, let's take all these categories we have and start doing some research on how are these are searched for, and so we use some third-party tools to kind of come back and say, these names, these categories are getting top hits within the waste industry. And so we started building our taxonomy based upon that, right? And then it became, the frequency of parts that we see, the parts that we sell. And we had kind of a really light structure to begin with, but we've taken that and really expanded upon that, done a lot of research with what customers are searching for, how they're using certain words, and try to work that into our overall approach for how does we build our taxonomy. And so, at one point, I was looking at comparing what we look at on our P&L, what products are selling and kind of focusing that way. And if you have to start someplace, that's not a bad place to start, because at least you know what you're selling, and you kind of build it back from there. But once we got to a place where we're like, well, that's not necessarily sufficient enough for us. We need to get it down to another layer. And so we started, building, rethinking our categories, looking at the volume of products we have in them, combining some, seeing if other key phrases might work better for how we're searching for them. And it's just a continuous process. I'm definitely not done with that. I can tell you this week I worked on reworking our containers segment. And, I think there's a better way for me to sell those parts.
Starting with what people are searching for. So it's so obvious once you said it. But, you'd think maybe I'm starting with part numbers or something like that. But obviously what you care about is, can people find the product they need?
Yeah, I think the other thing that's unique to our space too is that people, either they know that they're looking for a cylinder, they know the model of part that they're working on, or they know the exact item number. There's nothing really in between that, and so I think that's part of the reason why we see such high conversions on our site, is because people are coming to us knowing that we are the company that's going to carry their part.
This is what I need.
Yeah, exactly. We have the right part. It's available. We're going to get it to you in the quickest time possible, because we know people aren't going to wait around for their trash to be picked up. Right. We want to get out there and get these people up and going as soon as possible. And that's what the waste build industry does.
One other question I want to ask you about, we often are talking with customers, and one of their big worries is, do I have enough data? I don't know if my data is complete. And kind of what are your thoughts on that? I guess my question is the data ever complete?
It's never complete, and you're lucky. I mean, I can tell you, if you're in the manufacturing space, your data has got a long way to go to be ready to go to market for A plus content. And you're dealing with these retailers, they look to want to have A plus content out there, and it's a tough haul.
Right.
It's tough to get 6 different product images. If you can get one at all, I'm pretty happy, right? So you have to keep pushing, you have to keep focusing on it. It has to be a continuous effort, and I think, there's different strategies for how you're going to do that. I mean, I've come up with some pretty unique ways. I have utilized interns in certain instances. I've utilized my SMEs. I have utilized the shipping department, all different ways possible to try to collect the information I need to help our customers make informed purchasing decisions. And there's more to it. I mean, when you start putting dollar values behind returns, there is an ROI on taking the time to invest on collecting the data. Right. And so it doesn't take long for a very expensive part to lose its margin, one return, and you're recovering from that for a long time. And so we really focus on trying to ensure that data is collected through whatever means we can. And you're never really done with it, David. It's one of those things where you keep going, do I have enough information? And if I see a question from a customer, then I'm focused on, I need to answer that question, not only for the part that they're asking about, but can I answer it for the entire category, and see what we can do from there.
These are really good. You had a good line for me when we were doing our prep call. You said you can only eat the elephant one bite at a time.
That's right. For sure. For sure. I mean, the continuous love and focus on how it is that you're trying to make it more complete for your customers.
Yeah. Talking about this space, we're all using AI now. Just a couple years ago, it wasn't even probably on the radar of most folks, but it is everywhere now. How do you see that playing into kind of your day to day?
Oh, it does already. I get hit. I've been in the IT space. I mentioned this before, for 20 years. I don't know much about garbage truck parts. So AI comes in handy with just trying to figure out what is it I'm selling at times, right?
Yeah.
What is this widget that's been put in front of me, and what space does it belong to? How should I categorize it? And so there's some things that I'm taking on to try to figure out how to automate some of the work that we've done, and utilizing AI to say, hey, you should probably give this part this type of a name, and here's how we would probably classify it. And I've made some progress there. I've got some work to do. That's a continuous, leisure of love labor of love that I try to work through. But it's one of those things where it's going to have a space there. There's other applications for it as well. I think that there's some automatic tagging that we can do of our images that we collect. It'll be nice. Make sure that those are ready to go and fully tagged so that anyone can find them. People know what they're about. There's some translation that we can probably dip into. I see a lot of potential for that in our future as well. Just kind of automate some of that so we don't have to work copy so well. There's even, there's opportunities for AI to take what I have worked on for marketing copy and then help me to revise it for the different marketing segments. Am I working with a municipality? Am I working with just a local dealer? Am I working with just a consumer? A residential consumer, and so they all want to be spoken to a little bit differently. They're all looking for different things in their marketing copy, maybe even different images, and I think that AI can definitely help out with all those things. And we're going to see it come around. It's all going to be part of our future here in the next 5 years, easy.
So many great topics. You've made this data space very approachable. You made 60,000 SKUs sound like it was no problem at all. I know it's been a ton of work, and you've done an incredible job organizing it. So thanks for sharing all your insights. I've got a fun section here called the Rapid Rundown, which is a few fast-paced questions. I know, get ready for it.
All right.
All right. First off, your favorite digital project that you've led or been involved with. Heavy machinery, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it was the rebuild of the wastequip.com website and partnering with AmericanEagle.com. Great partners, excellent people, taught me a ton. Yeah, very, very fun project to be part of. Watch it finish and watch it continue to grow has probably been the most exciting part of my career.
One thing people would be surprised to learn about the waste handling industry.
Oh, man. One thing, people... there is really no real good data behind anything in the waste industry.
Wow. Okay.
For as far as parts go, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's that different in any manufacturing space. There's enough for people to understand how to build parts, but to know how to sell them and what all the benefits are behind them is really hard to find sometimes.
All right. Now, this is a tough one, trivia, and I don't know the answer to this. We're going to put it in the show notes. On average, how many pounds of waste does the average American generate per day? We'll let you take your best guess.
In the States, the United States, I would say maybe 4 pounds of trash a day.
All right. We'll check your math, and then we'll let you know. That's a good one. And then, favorite non-industrial brand you think nails the B2B experience or just has a really great site?
I think JELD-WEN does an excellent job with what they do in the retail space. They definitely, I think, help us to set a goal to look for as far as how manufacturers can go to market and look like they're the best out there on the brand. So I think they do a good job at JELD-WEN.
And then when you get some time out of work, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh, I am a grandpa. I love to hang out with my granddaughter, have a good time with that. I enjoy golfing. And I've got a dog that will walk the soles off my shoes if I get the opportunity to. So he's always fun to hang out with. Definitely one of the best friends I have too. So
I love it. And you've got a long week of e-com strategy, tools, product specs. Sounds like golf is the reset button, or just hanging out with the fam and walking the dog.
Yeah, both of those are all of those actually help me reset. Anytime I get to spend with my wife, she is definitely a breath of fresh air for me, and she helps keep me grounded. We both are in this space. We both kind of vent to each other about it, but at the same point, it's like once we kind of vent, we can kind of let it go and figure out what it is that we're going to do outside of work, and that's just enjoy each other, enjoy our family, and then just try to enjoy the beautiful Northwest. So.
Yeah, I had the privilege of meeting you and your wife at a recent event, so that was super fun, and you guys make a great couple, so hats off to you. Wonderful pair. If our listeners want to reach you, find you online, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can always reach me at creasepower@gmail.com. That's where you can reach out to us if you're looking for any assistance and trying to figure out how to structure your data. We'll be glad to help out. E-commerce Data Solutions is one of our companies that we kind of run outside of what we do day to day. And so we're always interested in trying to help people solve problems. And that's probably one of the better ways to get in touch with us.
Fantastic. We'll include that in the show notes. And if you're looking for a helping hand with data from a man who knows everything about it, if you want to know how to approach the space, which I think is really, really important, especially when you've got so many different products that you're working with, Kevin's the guy to speak to. And thanks a lot for being on the show today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
I was flattered that you asked me, Dave. It's always good to be able to help you out. And you guys got a great product out there. Looking forward to taking advantage of it in the future.
Thanks for that. Talk to you soon.
That's it for this week's episode of Beyond the Shelf. If you enjoy the show, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. It really helps us grow. And feel free to share us with your colleagues so they too can hear weekly perspectives from the brightest minds in e-commerce. You can also check us out on LinkedIn, where we post clips from each episode, share Dave's takes on breaking industry news, and much more. Beyond the Shelf is a production of It's Rapid. Our host is Dave Feinlieb, and our producers are Sean Levy-Ashvili and Jake Musiker. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Shelf.